3, 2, 1, go! Bringing everyone together, one bag at a time. Smooth takes with Burton Grimes and Jay Smooth. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, guys, welcome with us this evening. I am Burton Grimes. Jay cannot be here. He's feeling under the weather. Our guest this week, as you can see, is Captain Bill Marino. He is the man when it comes to virtual cornhole, so to speak. Bill, thanks for being with us this evening.
Great, let's go virtual. Let's play cornhole, man. Let's do it.
For those that don't know, we mentioned a couple weeks ago about the IVCA. A couple guys that were on, including Jay, wasn't sure what International Virtual Cornhole Association was. So we talked about it a little bit on air. People were excited. I got all kinds of messages like, what is this virtual cornhole? How do you do it? To the point where even like the tournament going on this week, I had the displeasure of having to play John Nell, who, if you had to start a Hall of Fame of virtual cornhole, I feel like he would be in there pretty quick because he seems to be in and winning everything.
Oh, yeah, he's our top pro, man. He's it.
But so I played him last week, and we did it at the blind draw, our weekly blind draw. So rather than actual set it up with the cameras and everything, we played right there, and we just picked different size boards and swapped and explained people how it went. Then my wife got to play you, so people got to see it set up. And I mean, you could see them in the background. They were even asking you questions on it. I think when people get to know it, they're really going to be like, whoa, what about, what is this virtual cornhole? How do I get hooked up with it? So how did, yes, and Claude Miller, you're right, JJ, Claude Miller, he's something else when it comes to this. Tell us a little bit about how it came about and how it got started.
I had a very limited schedule. I had two young daughters, and they're still young. And my blind draw is the closest blind draw to me is about an hour away. So, it limits my exposure. If I go to a blind draw, it's going to take me 4 hours. It'll take me an hour to drive up there. Maybe the blind draw will be 4 hours long. It's a whole night event. And, so a friend of mine lived in Miami, which is about 20 minutes from here. And we were just practicing during the day. And it was hard for him to get to my house. So he's like, hey, you know what? Let's just do FaceTime. Let's just see how it works. And he'll throw 4 bags. I'll throw 4 bags on FaceTime live when we're talking to each other. And let's see if we come up with a score. And we did it a couple times. And it was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I could kind of play anybody I wanted to, anywhere for that matter. It didn't have to be Miami. It could be Texas. It could be Maine, Germany, wherever it was. And it was a great way to enhance your practice session, And so I practice, a couple hours a day in my workshop. And when I saw that, I was like, when I play somebody live in the very beginning, I really wasn't that good. I got nervous. I was like, it was a tense moment. I really wanted to win, but I didn't have all the tools to do it. So I said, hey, what's this face group stuff on Facebook? Let me just check it out. And so I started this basic virtual online thing, and I was trying to look around the internet to see if there's anything else comparable to it. And the only thing I found at that time, and it was about 4 years ago, was Deck Around. And they were recording themselves. And I was kind of watching it. I'm like, okay, well, you record for me now, maybe for some people they like that. But for me, I'm like, you're by yourself, you're recording what you're doing for 10 rounds and you're coming up with a score. There's no interaction with anyone. And to me, it was kind of boring. I just saw it. I didn't feel like it was anything that was interesting. I'd like to have that interaction with somebody. I know that you threw 4 bags. Maybe you got them all in the hole. Now it's my turn. And I got to either wash out the round by getting the 4 in, or I got to get a 10, just give up 2 points. And the more I played just with one of my friends, just a little bit like with FaceTime, I was like, wow, this is really helping me out. I'm really concentrating hard on getting that bag up the middle. So when I put it out in the group page, I said, let me just try this. I got with Scoreholio, which is an app that if everybody registers, no matter where they are in the world, it'll send them alerts when it's their time to play. We had Facebook Messenger. So with all these little groups, Facebook group page, Facebook Messenger, and Scoreholio, it was a marriage, no very easy marriage to do this. And my first tournament was for free. I had probably 10 guys, right? And we all did it. Everybody loved it. They were like into this. They were like, we need to do this for money, like they put some weight on this. And I was like, well, I don't know how that's going to work. How am I going to start dealing with money and all that? And they're like, Cash App or Venmo, right? And I'm like, all right, if you guys are willing to try it, let's do it. We had like our first tournament with like 10 guys with like $5 entry fees just to play around with it. And these guys loved it. Next thing you know, they were telling their friends. I think our second tournament, we had like 35 guys in the tournament from around the entire country. And we had like $10 entry fee. And I was like, wow, I really got to learn about brackets and about, all this stuff just to make sure, running tournaments was really new to me. But it just started taking off. And these guys were telling me that when I was talking to them, I'm in this remote area of Texas. I 2 hours for the nearest blind draw, a regional so far. One guy's in like North Dakota. I had a guy in Washington, and they're like, yeah, I just can't do it. I can't get around, but I can play virtual anytime I want. So we started getting with the guys, and we came up with a schedule. It's like, all right, this isn't going to be a 1 day tournament or 4 hour tournament. Like if I'm hooked up with you and you and I are scheduled to play each other, we give each other like 5 or 6 days to get that one game in. And then we get our game in, and then you're scheduled with another guy. So the tournament could take maybe a month, month and a half long. But you're playing, maybe every other week. So it spreads it out. It gives people a little bit more flexibility on their time. They come home from work, they schedule a game, they get a game in. Somebody that I would have never met you, Burton,
Right.
if it was for virtual. Now, I mean, I have a friend for life.
Yeah.
If I go to some national tournament, I've done this so many times. I've gone to national tournaments, and people will come up to me and they'll be like, Bill, hey, what's going on? I was like, I've never met this person, and it's been my buddy for a couple of years now through virtual. It's been the most amazing thing. So I started using it as a tool to say, all right, I'm practicing here by myself. Now I need to practice under pressure. So we run these virtual tournaments, and now I could have never scored a point on Claude Miller, who is an ACO pro. Jonathan Nail, he used to beat me 21-2, something like that. And now these games is, Claude, I've beaten him a couple times now, which was a huge feat for me. Like this was like
championship.
It would make my week because he's so good,
Right.
And if I scored 15 points on Jonathan Nail, and I've come to it where I've been on the last bag virtual with Jonathan Nail, me to win. I got to hit this shot and I win, and I blew it, right? Because there was a lot of pressure. You can't give up any points to him. But that was a win for me. And I even told him, I said, I don't even care. Like I got this far with you. It was really on my back. I've learned so much from this game. I felt the pressure. I felt like I needed to make the shot. I needed to focus. I needed to concentrate. I wanted to make sure I had my balance. I wanted to make sure I got my arm out right. All these different things. When I do play my regionals, I use all of these things that I've learned through virtual against real opponents, and it's done great. I've gotten my PPR up to 9.0 now, which was a massive undertaking for me. That's a hard thing to do, but I've learned it all through virtual. So, virtual's come a long way. I'm very passionate about it. I think it's a great practice tool. I've gotten a lot of feedback from people saying, hey, this has really improved my game. It's given me an alternate way to play cornhole and learn, given me opportunities. I've got some people say I've got 3 kids and I just, I can't play as much as I'd like, but I can do virtual for $5 or $10. We'll get into a tournament. And when we go like this, we're having this conversation, we share, hey man, how do you make that shot? Like, what do you do for practice? And some guys will say, I throw 200 air mails a day. I'm like, 200 air mails a day? But yeah, that's what I throw. I'm like, oh, I've never even thought of that before. So now I throw 100 air mails a week, and I track it, so I've learned. Or I'll be playing Jonathan Nail, and he'd be like, hey, Bill, I saw you the way you shot that. He goes, maybe if you would try just, stepping out a little bit further and extend your arm a little bit. And these are coming from, good players. They're watching me play. They're giving me tips. After the game, we'll talk and we'll just say, hey, I heard this, and, what's going on over here? Your part of the world. So fascinating. Like, so people, I've gotten feedback. Some people say, well, it's easy, right? It's easy. Like anybody, well, there's no challenge to that. I went, all right, well, sign up and go play. Because if it's,
Yeah.
that's why we always say everybody has home court advantage, right? You're going to play under your circumstances, whatever you set up at home. Obviously, the distance is the same, their normal setup. But you play under your conditions with your bags, under your board conditions. I'm playing on my board conditions, and it's a battle, man. We're doing 20 rounds. Sometimes the games are 15 rounds. Sometimes the games are 25 rounds, and it's all relative because you're shooting a 12. I'm shooting a 12. Well, you're shooting a 12. I'm shooting. Who's going to break first?
Yeah.
It comes down to that. So the pressure is there, and I love putting my shot under pressure, and it's it's everything I think for the cornhole world. And what is the number one thing that you have to do and learn in cornhole when you're playing live is go up the middle.
Hmm.
Okay, the IVCA is everything's up the middle. Okay, like you're going to learn up the middle. I don't know if you want to put a percentage on it, but 90% of the time, that's the game, right? You got to learn if you get up the middle, now we learn the other shots. So for a while there, I was like, all right, we're just playing standard cornhole. Let's put a little challenge to it. We have the flexibility in virtual
Yeah.
to change it up. Like, and I feel like the ACL in the future or ACO or all these cornholes should make more to the game. They should say, all right, well, hey, we're going to start you off with a blocker bag. And then everyone's going to be under the same gun. Let's see how you operate. But in virtual, we do that because we have that availability. So we have a game called a blocker bag, which is basically you put a fifth bag on the board, and we call it a level 1 block. And you start with that, right? Every round starts with a level 1 block, and you have your 4 bags. You got to go through the obstruction, and that puts a little bit of a different game in it. Like, can you go through that block?
You
Can
only
you
get points for your bags. That blocker bag, that's not a point getting bag. That's
like simulating an opponent's bag was there. Yeah, you don't get to that point. And then I took it up to another step we call block party, right? And we're like, okay, well, it's nice that when you're in real cornhole, you have to set a block sometimes, right? And that's hard because if you miss that block in real time, you just wide open lane for the next guy to shoot 4 down the middle, right? Because that's what you're trying to slow these other guys down. So I'm like, all right, well, let's throw that into virtual. First, you set the block. That's just basically your first bag has got to be on that board somewhere. And obviously, if you want it to be in the right spot, you're going to try to throw that as a level 1 block or somewhere in the middle where you can push that in. But if that bag just happens to go off to the side, we consider that, all right, that's your block. I mean, even though you can't get it, you have to get that score. So setting the block is very important skill to have. And so we threw that into our games and saying, okay, let's work on that skill. Everybody in the IVCA is setting that right proper block, and then you try to push it in, and then let's compete that way. Let's see what you got. Let's see what I got, and let's see what we can go against. And it makes it really interesting on what we do with that.
I can't count how many times that I've done that tournament. It's like, okay, I just got to put the first one on the board. I want it close to the hole to push through, and I throw, and it goes in the hole. I'm like, no, there's 0. Throw the next one in the hole, 0. Dang it. Then next one I get off to the center. Okay, I can go to push that one in, and I go to push it in, and I go off the right. So now I've thrown 3 bags in a normal game. That'd be 7 points. But for this particular one, it's 1 point. And it's like, oh, man.
Yep, and it's all skill-based. So if you look at it from a standpoint of, yes, we're competing, we're under pressure, you got to be able to make the skill shot, but now you're competing in brackets, double elimination, so it's like, okay, you're not just going to throw bags like, I just lost or whatever. If you want to win the tournament, you're really going to be working on these shots, and then there's money involved. But before we get into the money, which is really kind of cool part of this, it's a little benefit to it. We created one called Airmail 1, right?
And my blind draw people love this one.
It's my favorite one. I don't know why, but for some reason I'm pretty successful in when we play the IVCA. I just get so into it. I'm practicing before my game. I'm hitting. I'm telling you, Burton. I try to tell Claude, even Jonathan Nail, like when I play them, I'm like, I'm hitting 100% of my airmen, which is like 90% of my. I mean, if I'm throwing, I remember a Claude, I probably hit 14 out of my 15 airmails, and Claude's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I don't know. I just love this game. It's just I'm so into it, and I hit my airmails. But the way this game is designed is you have to call one of your 4 bags an airmail. Okay, so if you're shooting your first 3 and they go in the hole, your fourth bag's got to be an airmail. You call it. You say airmail, and you got to hit it. And if you don't hit it, you get no points. So let's say you're just like, I want to throw airmail on my first shot. You call it. You say, hey, airmail. If you hit it, you get the 3 points. The next three bags got to be in the hole. And there's some basic rules to it. Honesty always when we play cornhole. We have respect for one another. And we're watching it. It's live, right? So you can't make this up. If you shoot the airmail clean, it's in. If it toilet bowls, and then goes in, we count that. But obviously an airmail is not when it slides and then goes in. That's not an airmail. So we've never had any issues with rules on that, of what's determining an airmail or not. But it's been so fun, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
We have
so
another
very
one.
much a gentleman's game.
That's it. And everybody that I've played live, I've played in different terms. I played up in Georgia. I'm from Florida, down South Florida. I've met so many nice people, and I've never really had any problem with rules, and there's never been no conflict anywhere. But airmail ones is cool, and we'll play those when we're practicing in regionals. A lot of guys will like to play airmail one because it's fun because you have to make an airmail, and that's just think about it. That's another skill. So we're forcing you in a tournament situation. You got to throw one airmail, and in order to compete in this tournament, you got to hit that airmail. And you'll see when you do the scores at the end of the game, the guy that hit the most airmails has definitely won the game. So it's important to work on that, and you get better because you're like, I got to hit this airmail. I mean, I got to throw it. I'm in a forced situation where, and I look at it like as if I was live, and your partner's pointing the finger up, and he's like, I need an airmail, right? And he's like, all right, I got to hit it. And so when you play this game and it's constantly you're under pressure and you got to hit the airmail because the other guy hit the airmail, it makes you a better player. It
Oh
definitely
yeah.
does. Uh, the other game we haven't played too much lately is called Airmail Mania. And that game was a pretty cool game. I enjoy it. It's where the first player number one will start out and he throws four airmails. Okay. And player
Yeah, I've
number
got this
two throws four slide shots, right? So, okay, for round one guy's throwing four airmails. He might only hit one, right? And then the other player is going to hit, he's doing four slide shots. Maybe he makes them all in, right? But now in round two, it flips.
one.
The other guy's got to throw four airmails, so it balances it out as you go forward. But it's kind of cool because I've had that where my slide shots were way off, right? Because I don't know why, and then I've hit four of my airmails, and I'm like, oh my god. So, but the thing about here's some more. I'm super into this stuff because I believe in it firmly. When you're throwing a block or when you're throwing an airmail, you have to remember after that shot to throw a slide shot. Okay, you have to like kind of reset your body. You're not throwing that bag as hard as you did on, when you're throwing a block, you're just letting off a little bit, right? And all right, now the next shot, you got to throw a hard push. So you're adjusting your speed and you're adjusting the way your body throws the bag, and you got to bring it back to neutral. Same thing after an airmail. You hit an airmail, you get this adrenaline rush, you're like really excited, but all of a sudden the next bag's got to be a normal slide shot. It's got to be in the hole. So you're altering your throws, and that's what you're trying to learn. So I always try to, after I hit an airmail or I throw a block, try to reset myself and just throw a nice easy one up the middle. So, it's been a lot of lessons. It's whatever you want to get out of it, you can. Some people want to do it for the social aspect of it. Some people want to do it strictly to enhance their practice. Some people just like it for the money. They're in it like, hey man, I want to win this tournament. I want to win money. So it's all around. It's just a fun experience.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about it that I found is like you said, you're playing somebody one on one. So just like if you're at a major or an open or something like that, you're playing one on one, but you're not talking as much about, hey, how'd you do that? You know what I mean? Because you're in that competitive mode. I want to win this matchup. I'm not helping this guy do nothing. Afterwards we'll talk like, oh, when you did this, I would have done this. But with the virtual, it seems like I come back. Okay, now I'm going to watch you. We have a couple minute conversation. Then you go throw. And then you come back, a couple minute conversation. I go throw and back. So it could be, it could be a 5-round game. It could take you an hour because you're talking, you're helping each other. Like, and Jonathan knows a great person at it, not only on virtual, but anytime you see him. Hey, try stepping out. Hey, try extending your arm. How are you holding that bag? Like, and a lot of these guys in the IVCA, that's how they are. They're, hey, because that's what they're doing this whole time. They're watching you. And then you throw, and then they look at the board to see where it hit, what happens to it. So it's a great way to kind of get that one-on-one coaching from another set of eyes as well.
Sure. I've met so many. I would have never had the opportunity to play pros around the country if this wasn't around. And the nice, I tried. I went with Derek King when I didn't know anything, and I'm in my workshop by myself before the IBCA, and I was like, I need lessons. I need somebody to help me. What am I doing? How am I throwing this back? How do I get it flat? How do I move my shoulder? Do I step? Do I don't step? All these different things. And I went out to see. I did virtual with Derek King. All right, and he was giving me lessons, and I was like, when I did the IBCA, and I started getting pros on here that I was playing, I'm like, this is free lessons. I'm playing them. There's up for money. We're playing for money. But after it's all over, I was like, hey, man, how do you practice? What do you do? And become friends with them. And they're sharing all their stories. They're sharing how they became good and what they do. And I was like, this is just great. I mean, I have free people, like I'm friends with now, and I could say, hey, listen, I bought this bag. What do you think about this bag? Or whatever it is about cornhole. And I could reach out to them.
Yeah.
You and I would reach out to, and you're sharing all the things that you're going through over there, and it's like so cool. I absorb this stuff so much, um, and this is what really got me crazy about this stuff, like super great. I get a guy from Australia, right, and he's like, hey, I'd like to play this game, right? I'm like, let's go, all right, like come on in, we welcome you from Australia. And he's like, okay, and I'm like, hey, we're gonna have about a 11 to 12 hour time difference. But he wanted to jump in the tournament. And I said, hey guys, everybody that's in this tournament, let's just, be understanding. Let's try to, if we have to schedule them on the weekend or whatever you can, let's try to do this. So I'm at 9 o'clock at night. Okay. I'm in my shop here playing cornhole with the guys in Australia at 9 o'clock in the morning. And he's literally on the outback. And I'm playing him. He goes, oh yeah, I'm on the outback. And I'm like, no, I'm like, there's no way, right? He takes his camera and he's like, he shows me the outback, like this wide, vast area of Australia. And I'm like, I'm playing a guy in Australia. Are you kidding me? Then all of a sudden I had some French guys come in. I had Germany, Netherlands. It
Played
was
Tony from
becoming,
England a couple times.
is that crazy?
And
Like,
I'd have never met Tony without it.
and he comes over. I talk to him all the time. And I mean, who would ever thought I'm playing somebody from Britain, Germany, France, Netherlands. I'm playing them like, and they're having a blast. And they're learning now. What they're doing is asking me, "Hey, how do you practice? What do you do?" Because they're trying to get better. So all of these things, it's just been a whole whirlwind of bringing the world together with cornhole. So I'm sitting in my shop, I'm not doing much, and I get a phone call from the ACL. Okay. And the ACL's like, hey, what are you doing virtual? And I'm like, well, what are you guys doing virtual? Because I didn't realize you guys had virtual. And they're like, yeah, that's kind of the problem. We'd like to know what you're doing, and we'd like to see if we can get you incorporated into the ACL and help us out with virtual, right? Because they want to go Olympics. They want to bring it worldwide, which is the same thing what I'd like to do.
And that's a great
So
way
we
to
would,
get it worldwide is virtual.
and we want to bring in. I would like to bring in the ACL pros to play people here in the country virtually. Once we get our virtual program set up through the ACL, bring people from Germany, and they would love to play Jordan Power. They would love to play, any other pro that's here, Miranda Coy, any of these pros that are over here. They don't have that exposure, but through
Mm-hmm.
virtual they will. Okay, and they'll see, hey, where am I at? What do I need to do? Oh, okay, I need to practice more. I need to get my PPR up because they're a little bit behind, over there. So, um, on my pitches, let's do this. Let's go. And so we had some talks, and we have to do more preliminary talks, go over some rules on trying to really expand this program. But I got to tell you, some of the stuff I need help. It's a lot, but it's been a fun experience, and I'm super excited about it. And every time I get to meet somebody or talk to somebody about it, it's great, because I've been able to play a lot of cornhole competitively through this, where I wouldn't have had that opportunity. I really probably wouldn't be able to play cornhole. And so now, I'm at the advanced level live, and I'm working on it, so it's fun.
Yeah, and so everybody does their weekly blind draws that they go to. And sometimes you can tell either people don't show up as often, or they'll just straight up say, hey, we need to do something. We need to bring some excitement into this and stuff like that. And my club's no different. And they said that, and I was like, some of these virtual cornhole tournaments we've done, I think guys would like. So then we did the called airmail blind draw, and my group loves it. and explained it to him. Okay, same thing you said. 1 year 4, you got to call airmail. If it goes in, you get 3 points. If you miss, it's nothing. Well, what if it lands on the board? You take it off, so the next person go throw whatever. Okay, well, if I miss and I hit somebody else's bags, do those bags go back? Nope, bags are played. The only thing that matters is, did your bag go in or not? If it didn't, wherever it's at, you get it off the board. Everything else stays as it is. So they like that. And we've had a couple people, one of the females, she would never shoot airmails in the blind draw. She's like, no, I'm not good at it. So we did that, and she had to do it. And after a couple games, she's like, holy crap, maybe I do. Maybe I am good at airmails. Like, and she tells me all the time, I'd have never shot airmails if you wouldn't have done this. This forced me to do it. And
Right.
people are like, man, I can do an airmail more now. So now in the blind draws, even though it's for fun, you're wanting to win money, people weren't doing airmails because they weren't confident in it. So like, oh, I'm not going to take that chance. Now they do it. We haven't tried the blocker bag one. I'm not sure. I'm sure we could figure out how to do it, and I'm sure people, would like it. I guess then you wouldn't want to be the first one to throw because you're the one really having to take on that blocker bag with it. But I mean, my guys are loving it. My first tournament with you guys, I was very lucky. Got to play, and you didn't mention, but just so everybody knows, you do every round is best 2 out of 3. So even when you get the championship, even if you're in the king seat, when the person comes from the loser seat, it's still just best 2 out of 3. So I ended up winning. I think, I don't know, there was like 6 of us in it, maybe something like that. I chose not to take the money because that money I'll spend on a tank of gas, and in a week it's gone. Nothing to remind me of it. But I did choose to take one of these things here, like what you have on.
Yeah, there you go.
Every time, and even more is every time I get to wear it, I get to look at the wife because it was her first one, and she was in king seat, and I beat her, and I put it on, and I'm like, you remember who I beat for this? Shut up. And we did it. I mean, we didn't live stream it, but we did it. We were actually at Nels because it's when we lived in our old house. We went out Jonathan Nels, and I would throw, come back, write on my piece of paper what I threw, then she would throw, write it down, and did it that way. And I still need to email you that score sheet that I made up. But, I still get that little bit of banter with her to be like, hey, you remember this when I won this? But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But
and it's interesting. Like, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say you hadn't mentioned about the money part. And I know there's people that, there's people that they play for the money, and that's fine. Everybody has their own motivation. I'd rather have a plaque or jersey or something because it gives me the memory when I'm 75 years old in my rocking chair and I can't throw that bag anymore, but I want to reminisce about it. I can see that and remember more vividly how I got it.
Yeah, I totally agree. We came out with some different shirts. I think I got an Airmail One shirt. It's coming up with different things because some guys do like to get the jerseys, and we personalize it. And I got a pretty good deal. None of this I make money on. It's not a money maker for me. It's not why I do it. This is like my hobby. I enjoy it. I'm not in it for the money. And the cool thing about this is it's somewhere we have $10 entry fees. That's pretty much the standard. Sometimes I'll do a free tournament just to get people, in and just build it up a little bit and just to get a taste of it. But there's no overhead. The only overhead that I have is Scoreholio subscription. I think costs me. I have the pro subscription, so it's like $20 a month. And then Canva. I use the Canva app, so I try to dress up like the winners and stuff, and that's a few dollars. So there's really no overhead. Everything goes back into to whoever's playing. I take one entry fee that comes in for me, and that covers my subscription, and that's really all I'm looking for. Some people are like, you need to take a bigger take. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm not in for the money. I'm in it for it to have friendships, to learn cornhole, to play this game, and not have anyone question like, where's the money? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I'm not there. I just feel like whoever plays, I'll spread the payout longer. So that's another nice thing about this is there's no overhead. The payouts are higher for the amount of people that we have in the tournament. We also have tournaments, so like I don't want anybody to get under the misunderstanding of that. Oh, you're just going to face pros. I do have the in Scoreholio we have the SPRs. So I might have a tournament like if your SPR is below 60 or you're a lower rated player, and I'll have those groupings of players together so they can compete.
And that's actually how I won this. It was a a 55 and below SPR tournament. That's how I won my jersey. I didn't get out there and beat Claude Miller or Jonathan Nell or anybody. Guys don't. I beat a guy in Florida that I really it was a close game. I can't remember his name. He played. I got to watch him play right next to his pool. You know, I beat my wife.
Oh,
I played a guy in Texas who, where he played, there was so much dirt. He had like OSB board or something for his walkway. So in case it rained, he wasn't walking in mud. There's one guy that when you watch him play, he throws over his pool to the other side. So if you throw a short bag, it's going straight into the water.
yep.
But it's neat
Yep.
seeing where everybody throws in the different places that they throw at.
Amazing. Yeah, that is amazing too. I played some Arizona. I played at Dillon over in Arizona. Some people will play right in. They have a like in their house. Some guys have beautiful mansions. I've seen some amazing stuff. Some guys yep, right out on the sidewalk. You know, they're playing. They'll set their stuff up. Some guys will set up on the sidewalk. They'll have lights. They'll have the whole thing. I play Jeff Colbert Jr. He's in Canada. He plays in the winter, and he's in Canada, full blizzard. He goes, Bill, just give me a second. I got to set up my stuff. I go, where are you playing? I'm playing outside. He gets his snowblower or his shovel, and he makes a whole setup. I have it on video. I've actually have it on the website, and he sets up his stuff, and we're playing outside. He's playing in the middle of the winter, and he goes, nothing's going to stop me from playing. I don't want excuses. I just want to throw. And he became a Canadian pro after all his time. You know, we're doing this 4 years. I believe it was the spring of 22 where we started it. And, you know, for people getting into it, I was like, how do you get into it? Like, what is it? You know, I said, well, you go on our group page, you know, Facebook group page, the IVCA, International Virtual Cornhole Association, and go on that page, and under the events tab, you know, we run our tournaments just like anybody else would. And you click on that tournament, you say, I'm going. Once I get that notification, I put you in an in your Facebook Messenger. I'll put you in a group, and then once we're in a group, all the players are going to be in that little group chat, just the players that are going to be in that tournament. And from there, I send you the information, and you can pay through Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, all that kind of stuff, and you pay the entry fee. We register on Scoreholio, and we're all set. We're ready to go. It's really simple. Everyone thinks it's going to be so complicated. You know, it's virtual. What is this and all that? You just go home, set up your boards, you get in that group page. You can Facebook message me if you want, if you're really not sure, and we're going. And when they get in there, they get through their first, go, oh my God, this is so easy. And I get like people that are like, all right, and they stay in for 3, 4, 5 tournaments, and then next thing you know, I've got a new friend, and we have a whole group of virtual people here. It's super easy. It's inexpensive. You're definitely gonna be playing some games.
So I tell people all the time, it's harder for me to explain to you how to set everything up than it is to actually do it. And I think it really is.
Yeah. So what I try to do is, and I'm not, you know, I'm learning as I go forward, but I'm pretty much there, I think. I have a YouTube channel now, so all the videos are on there, kind of explaining me talking a little bit live, and sometimes for people instead of reading it, you know, on the group page, you know, you can hear someone talking in how to set it up and what it looks like. And same thing we have an album section on the group page, so it shows you other people and how they set up their stuff, so you kind of have some ideas on how to go. And it's as simple as putting your phone, you know, on a stand here and putting it behind your board, and that's it. People play outside, inside, all over the place. I have truck drivers. I thought this was like so cool. I'll get truck drivers that play. They bring their boards with them, okay, and they're doing their route. They might be driving 3, 4, 5 days. They pull over. They get their game scheduled. They pull over to a rest stop. They set their stuff up, and I'm like, "Where are you playing?" He goes, I pulled my truck over. I'm ready to go. I had a guy over in yeah, you know, I'm like, that is so. I was like, that is so cool. He goes, yeah, I'd like to play cornhole. You know, wherever I go, I just bring my stuff with me and we play virtual. I'm like, okay, that works. So these guys take a break, they play a game, they go get some dinner, put their stuff away, and they're back on their route, which was really cool. You know, so I just find all sorts of people, and it's been such a great experience. You know, I played I played a guy over in Washington State, and he was a firefighter on a lake, and he set his stuff up on the lake, but it was on the dock, and he showed me his fireboat and everything. Joe Pounds over there, and I was like, this is this is incredible. I mean, I'm a fireman, and I just thought that was the greatest thing ever. It was like I get to see all these different things and play people, and it was serious. So really, spreading the word about cornhole, teaching people how to play, practice, having good practice situations. If you're really serious about cornhole, my biggest question when I watch podcasts, and I'm on there commenting, I've always asked the pros, I'm like, what does your practice session look like? What are you doing? Because I want to do that. I want to be better. I want to invest in this and learn how to throw a cut shot.
Hmm.
When I make a commitment that when I'm playing, okay, I make a commitment to myself that when I'm playing, like right now, this past year, I'm working on a cut shot, right? That's like my thing, right? So I'm like, okay, I play Jonathan Nail, which is a really good player, or Claude Miller. When I play some of these guys, whoever I play, if I see a situation where I got to throw my cut shot, win, lose, or draw, like I don't care how that round is going, this is it. I got to throw it and I got to hit it. Like that's it. I got to throw my cut, get that bag tilted, scoop up that bag, get it in the hole. So I make my commitment to just, be a better player. And that's what I use this for as a tool to say, I'm going to win the tournament is what I want to do. And I want to practice my shots. I want to concentrate and I want to focus. That's all, it's my thing, we all try to be better, so
Absolutely.
I'm not
So,
saying I'm the best. I have a lot more to go, but I'm working on it, it's fun.
so we mentioned about practicing in the IVCA and all that, and this isn't all you do. You mentioned you're a firefighter, but you're a little bit more than just a firefighter. You're not just the guy driving the trucks. Like, tell what it is you actually are.
Yeah, I'm a captain at the fire station, so I run a fire station. We have a ladder truck and a rescue truck there. We have 3 or 4 on the ladder truck, and we have 3 on the rescue truck. And I've been doing that for wow. I have 1 more year to retire, and then I'll have 35 and a half years in. So I've been doing it since I'm 18, and so there's a lot of pressure there. We
Yeah.
work under pressure, and so when I play cornhole, it's like pressure, just maximum pressure because I want to win, and everybody wants to win. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I just want to be good, practice, and ready. So there's a lot of excitement coming up, especially when I retire. I'm going to retire in November from the fire department, and I want to do more virtual or podcasts, or I want to enhance this. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. So it's
And then
not.
yeah, Burton, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I'm looking for help, and I'm looking for more people to help for me to take this on. Like, and it could, the good thing about this virtual is if there's somebody in Alaska right now that says, hey, I want to get more involved with the IVCA, I want to help you run it, Bill. Great, let's do it. You don't have to be here by my house, and
Right.
that's so whoever wants to help me expand this and make it bigger, um, I'm game. I'm looking for people, man, because it's all about us.
Yeah. I mean, so like I was to say was, it's not like, we'll say 80% of us out there, we go to work, we come home, work's gone. Like, you're always kind of having to be ready for that. So you could go into a game and be playing, your phone ring, like, I got to go, like,
Mhm.
something like that. So um, you've always got, that extra stuff on your mind while you're playing. Um,
I used to, when I first was doing this, when I first started, I used to have all my stuff at work. And so I would play Jonathan. That's where I met Jonathan. He came in and he was talking to me and everything. And I had the board set up between the trucks. And I remember one time, I'm like, oh, I hope I don't get a call. I hope I don't get a call. Because, I was playing him. And then, I get a call and I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry, but I'll be back in like a half hour. And, I'd come back, we play. But, I kind of set up my shop here pretty good. I got an AC system in here now and I got air conditioning, so it's climate controlled. So I kind of strictly just practice in here now. So, but yeah,
yeah, you got it set up. You got like a TV that you use when you're doing your virtual and everything, don't you?
yeah, I got a monitor up top, so I can see you actually up on a big screen. So I'll mirror to a TV, and then I got some stuff. Well, I've got my iPad over there for the stats. I keep track of everything. I'm a big stat guy, so I like to see how I play in virtual, and I'd like to see how I play in live. And some people are like, "Well, your live stats are going to be different than your virtual stats." And you know what I'm finding that I've done this for now 4 years is that It's not much different. I know people will say, well, you're running bags. I go, but you're doing it under pressure and you have to win. It's not like I'm just sitting here throwing with nobody, right? Yeah,
Right.
that's easy, right? When you're playing, when you're practicing by yourself, you're a pro, man. You're the best guy that there ever is when you're by yourself. You can
And,
hit any shot you want.
and that's true. Most of us can. And then they even like a down and back. I'll two down and backs, all eight in the hole. Let's go. First bag in the game starts right off the back. Dang it. Here we go.
And the same thing with virtual. It's like the guys that are pros, they're going to put the pressure on you in virtual right away. You give no room for mistake. That's when you play the pros live. When you're like all of a sudden you get, you're in an open blind draw or you're in an open tournament and you draw a pro right off the bat. Your first four bags of the game got to go in. Like this guy's going to hit them all, so the pressure's on you immediately, right? So, same thing with virtual. When you get on a game with somebody like Claude Miller, who has been a pro, Jonathan Nail, there's been other guys that I've had on here that are just pros. I'm like, oh, I've been practicing for 15, 20 minutes before I play Jonathan Nail, and I've been doing great. I'm like, let's go. I'm calling him up. Hey man, can you go a little bit early? Because I'm ready. Boom, we go live. And next thing I'm like, Jonathan, I promise you, I don't even know what just happened here. I was doing great. He's like, no, well, Bill, keep trying. I'm like, are you kidding me? So when I compare my stats, I'm like, it's not much different, as long as you take it serious. So it's like anything, I can go to a live event and just like, I'm just here to socialize. I just want to have some beer. I don't drink beer, but then some people want to drink beer and they're like, I'm just here to socialize. Okay, well, your stats aren't going to be good. But when you go there and you're like, I'm serious, every single bag is something I want to get in the hole. I do the same thing with virtual. I'm like, no, I don't care if I play Jonathan. I know I'm going to lose 99% of the time. My goal is to score as many points as I possibly can and beat that every time I play Jonathan.
Right.
So, like I said, I used to lose 21-2, right? I'm losing 21-17 now. So I'm like, as far as I'm concerned, I'm getting better. I'm pushing that needle forward. So, and a couple times I love Claude though. I love him to death, but I've beat him a couple times. So those are big feats for me. And there's been others guys, that have been around. So, in our tournament.
I had
And
I had John on the ropes at the Illinois State tournament in co-eds.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, telling myself, okay, I'm scoring on him. Like I'm playing better than him. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't get excited. And I'm playing well. And he even noticed it because he had made the comment. He goes, where does this come from? I've been telling you could do this all the time. Why are you just not doing it? And I just couple probably 3 or 4 rounds. I was just going. I was getting 2 points probably per round. And then he did something to me that I'd never had done. So I had no idea what to do during this time. So he called a timeout, went down, talked to his partner. He did it strictly, and he told me afterwards he did it just to get me off my game. We threw, our partners threw. I threw my next bag. He called another timeout, back-to-back round timeouts. And after that, I just went downhill. So it's like, oh, there's a variable in this game that I've never thought I had to figure out how to deal with, because that affected me. And you wouldn't think it would, but he did. And him and our friend Kiera beat me and the wife in the co-ed game. But I was like, man, see, just when you think you're getting it down, there's another variable that'll pop out that you're like, man, now I got to figure out how to work on that. That way I can get that down before, something else starts.
Well, like I've learned through virtual that, I take about 5 seconds, and I don't do this intentional to mess anybody up, but I slowed my pace down when I play. I used to play like somebody would throw, I would throw. Somebody would throw, I would throw. And I would I'm going on his pace, right? And now if I'm losing the game, I have no control of what I'm doing. But if I slow the pace of the game down and I focus on my shots, I used to be so nervous playing virtual because I wanted to win, and I would throw just to get through the round. And now what I do is I throw the bag, I go through a routine. I stop, I set my feet, I adjust myself, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, throw. And I just stay on that pace because, when these guys are getting hot and they're like there's a lot of action. No. They know when I'm going, I'm just I'm keeping this at the same pace. And some people will say, well, I don't break any rules. I'm not overly slow, but I have a certain pace. And I've learned that through virtual, that just taking my time, because, sometimes when you throw really fast, throw, you miss a shot, or maybe you should have thought that shot out a little bit more. Maybe you should have stepped out, or maybe you should have throwing an airmail or whatever the case, maybe a cut was more appropriate than whatever you did. That's because you're rushing yourself. You give your time to think a little bit. So when these guys, let's say, when they call timeout or something big happens, they hit a great shot. I'm still on my pace. So in other words, after they call that timeout, like you're describing, and they come back to me, I go, okay. It's like when I used to coach baseball, but I come back, I set, I relax, like 1,000, 2,000, and I get back into my rhythm. I stay in that rhythm. When I used to coach pitching for baseball, I would say the same thing as a pitcher. Every time you get on the mound, you do the same routine. You come up, you set, look, this, very routine. Go throw through your steps, so it will just keep you on track. These are the things that I use when I play virtual. And we try, right? Because it's not
Yeah,
that it makes it successful, but it's just the mental game to try to work on that.
yeah. No opponent can speed your game up. You speed your game up. So they can slow you down. So if you get used to already using as much as your time, they're not going to be able to slow you down either because you're already used to having to reset and go through your motions and all that. But
And think about this,
I do
right?
that.
If they're a fast thrower and now they got to slow down, right? Now you've just got onto their speed. Like, not
Yeah.
that you kind of, but you're like they have to now go to your speed. But if they're a constant thrower, super fast, Adam Hisner, right? He throws. You throw. Boom, 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 right? But now you get to a guy who's really slow. He's got to adjust. He's not used to that. It's not how he normally throws.
Hmm.
So that's really on him. So it's advantage you know. Um, Cody Henderson is another. We talk some of these big pros. I am a big fan of Cody Henderson because I like his attitude. And what I used to like, I call it the Cody Henderson bake. So when somebody screws up a shot or throws this airmail, throws it up, blasts these bags all over the place, I always take like 10 seconds after that one. Well, I let them sit there and just bake on their bad shot, a little bit, just a little bit, like let them bake a little bit, because they want to. I know when I make a bad shot, I'm like, I want to get back to the line. I want to throw again. Like I just want to get up there, do something better. But keeping on pace. The only time I'll break that pace is when somebody makes a really bad shot or blows a game where I think that mental game will swing to me. I'll let them sit on that bad shot, a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing to do. So I mean, like everybody's noticed, and there's some people in the comments that said it. You think, oh, it's virtual, it's not helping. It really does. It really does help your game. It's making your practice sessions a lot more meaningful. Is really what it's doing. And I encourage anybody to get on there to the page and look at what tournaments he has coming up. I think you have just an open coming up now, don't you? Where it's just a straight up game.
We're currently in a tournament now. We're running, and then we have a straight up open. Some guys, some guys are just like I really just like the regular right up the middle. So those seem to be more popular. And so I'm like, okay, we offer you just kind of switch it up every once in a while. Some guys will be like, okay. Winter time does taper off a little bit with our some of our guys because they just some guys don't have an indoor setup. So the winter guys, I guess you guys are getting blasted up there right now up north. I mean, we're still sweating down here in Florida, but when the snow hits, some guys just can't play.
And I haven't seen it. What about doubles? Is there a way you can do doubles for virtual? Has that been talked about or done yet?
I did that with Claude Miller, and we did set that up once. And the difficulty with that is the four guys have got to schedule their time together, and it's longer because you're alternating from shots for four guys rather than two. So, you're having player one shoot right on your team, and then you're going to have the other opposing player shoot, and then you're going to shoot. And by the time it gets back around, it takes three other guys to shoot, and then it's back to you. So we did it. We had fun. It was like I found that when we did it, everybody on there was having fun. We were all talking to each other, and we were encouraging everybody. It was a lot of talking, a lot of chatter on there. But it was a little more challenging to get four people on the same schedule with different time zones. Where sometimes we're playing some people in California where there's a 3-hour difference. Central time zone where you guys are only 1 hour. It's not a big deal. When we were playing some guys in Germany and different things like that, it's a 4 or 5 hour time difference. So, it was all over the place. So it wasn't as successful. But I'm always open to it. We tried it one tournament, and it was just a little confusing to get four guys in the same schedule from all over the world, you know. But I would imagine it would be a little bit easier if, like, let's say we had, you know, maybe 10 or let's see, 12 or 14 guys from the Eastern time zone all playing. That would be cool.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's easier to set up that way. What I'm trying to do, some of the guys in Europe were playing and they were doing it. There's some guys could do it, no problem. They have the time to do it. Get in our tournaments. I was talking to some separately, and we were trying to set up a tournament just in Europe. You know, so just have all the Europe guys play, France, Germany, all those guys just play in a big tournament. We did that a couple times, and they enjoyed it. They liked it, and it was some of the ACL pros that were over there. I was actually starting to follow those guys, you know, in Europe, and you know, I can't tell you how many guys I've had who are making the pro run, okay, that have gotten in the IVCA and have played for the solid year. Like they're playing IVCA, they were doing deck around tournaments, they were playing in every blind draw and everything they could. And I would be talking to them like, man, they're playing corn. I'm like, how do you do it? And next thing you know, I see him being a pro. And I would talk to him and I'm like, hey man, he goes, oh, I really appreciate it, Bill. He goes, you know, it's helped. You know, the IVCA has helped. He goes, it's just allowed me to play cornhole when I'm at home throwing. I get a game in, and now I'm playing under pressure. I'm in a tournament bracket, and I'm just continuing playing cornhole. You know, I'm doing it all. I'm all up the middle. I'm putting my up the middle with money on the line, and I want to win this tournament. And here we go. And I've had probably quite a few guys become pro after they played here. You know, I'm not saying I'm the only reason for it, but I'm saying I'm part of it. You know, and that's
Right.
kind of cool. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
definitely. It helps justify all the work you put in time you put into it. Going, you know what, I'm it's helping people, and that's what it was made to do, is give everybody an opportunity to to play, get better with that, like you said, the added pressure of the being meaningful games, things like that. And then there's always things like when I play Tony and he's in England, and the way we, you know, with the time difference, I think I had to play at like, it was like 8 or 9 in the morning for me. It was like 4 in the afternoon for him. So here I am, like I just ate like eggs and biscuits and gravy and drank milk. So now I'm outside and hear him, he's opens a beer and I'm like, it's like, to me, I'm thinking, you're drinking beer for breakfast? No, it's not breakfast now. And, you know, and he's outside between two buildings. He's like, well, if a car comes, I may have to move the board. So, you know, things like that. But I'd say the best thing about it, besides the playing of the cornhole, is like you said earlier in the podcast, was you making the lifelong friends, you know, and it may just be a virtual friend, but it doesn't feel like a virtual friend as much as you talk or when you're playing and you have, you know, serious conversations about, you know, life, you know, families. I played somebody in Miami one time, and his wife was watching, and then my wife was watching. And next thing you know, we're having to get them. Hey, can you stop talking? Saying, what did he throw? A 7? Okay, now I can go throw. You know, hey, you two, we're trying to play a game here. You know, and they end up talking together. We're like, man, we got to go around them because they're at the phones talking to each other, and we're like, I don't know. I threw a 7. Okay, you know, over them. You know, it's a neat experience.
I'm going to be excited if the ACL, you know, the talks that I had with them, they do have a virtual program and they want to expand it. And if they come through with the meetings I've had with them, I've had a Zoom calls with their IT people and some of their directors and some of their virtual people, and they're very interested. And if they come through on that, because I told them when I retire, so it's another year. If they do want to do that, it'll be exciting. Like I really will be excited about this. And they're just like, well, what do you want out of it? And I go, I really don't want anything. I said, I'd like to work for you guys. That would be nice virtually. And I'll put in as much time as I'll have all the time in the world after I'm retired. And I'd like to make this program successful. And I threw a lot of ideas on them, and they're like, we like that, you know. And it's incorporating the pros into it to, you know, make this thing happen. They were even talking about having, you know, if you go on the ACL website, they would have a VR section on there, and so you'd have a virtual stat, and then you'd have a regular stat. So you'd have two
Oh, nice.
stats. So, and then the other thing is you could be a virtual pro. Okay, you could be a regular pro. Like, and let's say you never get a chance to be a pro, and you know, Burton, you're maybe whatever, but then you play a lot of virtual. and then you just happen to be a virtual pro. So now you can have that VR pro status with your virtual stats, and that's going to attract other people to say, all right, well, hey, so and so real pro, Jordan Power, I just use his name, anyway. He might say, well, you know what? I want to expand what I got going on. I want to start going on virtual now and start see if I can be a virtual pro. So there is a knack to it. It is a form of what we do here for cornhole in general. Like it's all part of the game, and it's not for everybody, but it's here. It's open to you.
Yeah, because
So just you getting the exposure, having this podcast just today is a big deal for me. I really appreciate you doing this.
oh no,
I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm like, man, it puts a spotlight on it a little bit, and I welcome you guys, you and Jay, to throw all the content you want on the Facebook group. To get more exposure for you guys because it's all about getting the word out.
yeah, I'm hoping that this will help bring more people into it because I love doing it. Um, and like you said, with the whole the idea of a virtual pro, and I think people would be surprised how many talent is out there, but either they don't know how big cornhole is, they can't afford it, or they just don't have the time from family, kids in sports, things like that. Um, we've got a lot of talent around here that they just don't travel, and I'm pretty sure there's 2 or 3 guys here that I'm like, man, if they traveled, they'd be a tough. People would be like, man, he's a pro. Where'd he come from? Oh, we've always known about him.
Exactly.
He just, for whatever, or finances or family commitments, he can't, he or she can't travel, and virtually
And
you get to see all those players.
and that is an awesome point because so many people have said that. Say like, my family's just more important than really traveling and spending the money. I've had guys who made that pro route, tried really hard and said, you know what, I just can't afford it no more. I just can't go to these hotels and spend the entire weekend there. And so this just gives you another avenue to say, you know what, I'm going to stay involved. I'm going to keep my family life. I'm going to keep my family life where it's at, and I have a way to compete. I have a way to stay involved. And hey, if I get out to a major or if I get out to an open somewhere, okay. And you start drawing people, you get all these grassroots people in the corners of the country and all over the place. In Alaska, there's Hawaii. I had some people play from Hawaii, and it's like all of a sudden here they are. So it's just a way to get more people into the game, and I'm here.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah, and like I said, it was a great thing that you came up with, and I think it's helped more people than you probably even realize. I know it's helped me. I'm not where I would like to be as a player, but with what I do stream wise and podcast wise, I gear more towards that because that's really where I feel like I have the most fun. I still like to get out there and play and compete, and I'll get up on the boards and think that I'm a 9-10 PPR guy, and then like, man, I'm throwing great, and I look and I threw like a 7-7. Like, could have swore I was throwing a 10 for the tournament, but I mean, it's fun. I'm looking forward to getting everything set up in my new pole barn to where I can play in all the virtuals because, like you said, that's what's going to fit my schedule the best right now is doing that. And it's weird because I'm set to play my buddy Todd, and he probably lives less than 10 miles from me, but it's easier for me to schedule with somebody who doesn't live here than it is somebody because when they do live here, you're like, well, let's just get together and do it and not do it virtually. Well, now you've got to coordinate where you both can be at the same place at the same time, where virtually we just have to be on FaceTime at the same time or Facebook Messenger.
Another guy I just want to mention real quick is Braden Berry. Okay, he's a young kid, right? Okay, I
had
forget
him,
about him.
the first time I had him was the slide shots and airmail. And I just won the first round. But I knew strategically I needed to start with slide shots because I don't have the airmail that other people have. So if I could get the slide shots, if I could get 10, chance of somebody hitting 4 straight airmails, not named Claude Miller or Jonathan Nell, I got a chance to win. Well, he picked slide first. And I think it was like 3 rounds he beat me, and he hit all of his airmails. I'm like, where did this kid come from? I'd never heard of him before.
Yep, that he started when he was young. Like I want to say 12. Like he was a little kid, and I was like, all right, he wants to play, and his mom was put money in, and and he was like, maybe an intermediate player at bat. Like he was a very low PPR, and he used to get his butt kicked all the time. And I already remember like, oh, I'm playing, but he was really into it. Like he thought this was the best thing ever, and he played for many years. And he got bigger and older, and he was playing virtual every tournament that we were in, and he was playing at home, with his friends and everything. I want to say, he's close, if not he is a pro now. And when I play him, like, it's like I used to be able to just like, set the phone up, I'm going to throw with him. I don't even have to practice. I'd beat him. And I remember the one time I did that and he beat me, and I was like, oh wow, he's getting fit. He's getting good fast. And now he's throwing like a 10 PPR. Like he's incredible. He's like the next up and coming. I think he's from Pennsylvania, and really good kid.
Yeah, I
Really
think
good kid. I wish him the best. But
yeah, I think you're right. I feel like maybe he is a pro.
mhm,
He might be a junior pro or something like that. But
right,
I mean,
right. He's really
he
close.
can beat anybody.
So to see something like that come up through the system was kind of cool, and I track him on the apps, and I watch his tournaments, from home, and I'll follow Jeff Colbert Jr. He's in Canada. I'll follow him on the app. I just follow a bunch of people just to see how they're doing with their tournaments live. And it's been an enjoyable experience, and and again, I can't thank you enough for having me on, and this has been just a blast. I
I
enjoy it.
I appreciate you agreeing to come on. Really, it was last minute. We were supposed to do it last Monday, and then I got asked to, hey, can you do this basketball game? The other guy, he coaches bowling for the high school, and they had a match, and I guess nobody realized it till like the day before, the day. So it was so last minute. Um, so that's why we chose to do this on a Sunday. Unfortunately, Jay ended up getting sick. Hopefully he gets better soon. For any of you guys that have listened, if you have any questions, type them in real quick before we get out of here. But the IBCA is a great way to practice, to get to meet people, and you never know who you'll end up playing against. And you become real close with them. Um, and virtuals, or not virtual, cornhole, as we all know, it's just taken off everywhere. Just because Jay had mentioned it earlier in the chat. For any of you guys that are sports fans, who is your doubles partner? He's a pro, but not in cornhole.
Yeah. So yeah, Terry Kirby is he's my doubles partner, and we became friends through a long time ago, 20 years ago. He was opening up a school after he retired from the NFL, and my son was going there. He opened up a charter school, and we just became friends. And Terry is the nicest guy in the world, and we reunited, a few years ago. I think during the pandemic, he was just happened to be at the same friend's house, and I was like saying, hey, and we just became doubles partners, and we've just been really outstanding together, and we're learning together and everything. But Terry is a retired NFL football player. He played with Dan Marino in the Miami Dolphins. He was on the Raiders and San Francisco 49ers. And so he's retired now, and he wants to cross over. He wants to be an ACL pro. So, that's kind of his goal. And so we're working hard every single day, in my shop. Like I said, 2-3 hours, we will just bang these boards, play, work on everything from mental game to shots, side shots, cut shots, air mails. And Terry Kirby's pretty cool. He was in the Super Bowl for the ACL. His partner was Rosie Streaker. Rosie's a ACL pro down here. She's in our region, and they went over there and competed. And this last Super Bowl, he won it. So he was, he's a good player. So that's our goal. But you can probably see him, like a couple pictures of him behind me.
I guess whenever he has a bad day practice, you say, well, I mean, you can always go back down to the Dolphin Stadium and start running wind sprints or something, bear crawls if you want, or you can stay right here in the AC and throw some more bean bags with us. See, which one would you rather do? So, but that's neat to see, people from other sports who they were good at it. That was their life. That was their career, to go, man, I want this challenge, because like you have 10 other guys on the field in football. In cornhole, you have just yourself. Yeah, in a doubles game, you have your partner down there, but it really a lot of it comes down to what am I going to do? You know, if I throw an 8 and the person I throw against throws a 10, and that's every round. I mean, I'm putting the pressure on my partner, so I need now that pressure on me. I gotta get this going. But
Yeah, it's something, they played a reactionary sport like basketball, hockey. Those are reactionary, quick, pop, 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 I gotta make this.
mhm.
This is a little bit more subtle, like, right? It's like it's a tennis match. It's something where your mind has got to set up, you got to throw, think about your shot. They compare it to golf and different things. So I think it challenges him, on that level.
Mhm.
It's not a reactionary sport as much as he was used to. So, but he's getting really good. He's working on his PPR. We're doing good together. We have a good time, and that's what's important. Have a good partner. A good doubles partner is everything, and not just. It doesn't have to be talent or skill. It's just having that good partnership, and you
Yeah.
keep that together. Sometimes I'll carry the games, and sometimes he'll carry the games. He's more likely to carry the championship game than me, and then I'm more likely to do good during the regular thing. But when the championship games, I'm like, I've been throwing all good, and next thing I get in the championship game, I'm like, what just happened to me? And then all of a sudden, he's picking me up and doing great. I'm like, oh, that was so great. That's where the partnership comes into play, and I so enjoy the doubles aspect of it, where you win together, you lose together, regardless to whether I shoot a 6 in that game and he shoots a 10. We lost it together, and
Right.
maybe one game I'll shoot a 10 and he'll shoot a 6. I don't look at it like, oh, you blew that game. No, we whoever shot whatever, we're a team. We win and lose together. Period. The end.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's
for myself and probably many people out there, thank you for taking the time to create the IVCA. It's a lot of fun. It's helped a lot of people. I know it'll continue to help those people. I hope that it does grow um, into the ACL, um, because it sounds like from what you said they're serious about it, and they definitely couldn't have picked a better person to help them get it off the ground running. So I look forward to that aspect and many more tournaments. Probably aren't going to catch me in the airmail slide one. Not right away. I got to get this airmail thing down to where I can compete in that. But I appreciate you coming on here, taking time out of your day and away from your family to talk with us about the IVCA and all the benefits of playing in it and things that it's done for everybody. Um, I didn't catch any other questions. Do you have anything else you want to say before we get on out of here?
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, and we'll see you virtual.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and good luck in the rest of this current tournament. Unless somehow I come back through and play you, then if you're sick and you can't make it, and I'll take the win. Win's a win. um,
All right,
but
man. Thank you so much.
thank you, everybody out there. Thank you for joining us. We won't have a podcast tomorrow. I'll have to look at the schedule about a week from tomorrow. We'll try and get one in, see who's on our guest list that's available to hit this up. But thank you guys for joining us. Remember, you can look up on Facebook, International Virtual Cornhole Association. You can go join it, read about it, even if you just kind of want to follow it for a little bit to get your feet wet. Reach out to anybody on there. If you want more specifics, reach out to Bill. You can reach out to me. I'll FaceTime you or video message you on Facebook Messenger, show you my setup. I'll even if I'm in the house, I'll go out to the barn and set it up to show you. It's a really easy thing to do. It's a lot harder to explain than it is to set up. But other than that, Bill, you have a great night. Everybody else, you have a great night, and we'll see you down the road.
Take care.
Bye.